everyone. This is now my 20th recording because I lost all my other files. So I hope this one goes well. I just need to point that out there. My name is Amy Becker, and today I'm going to be talking about Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. And I just wanted to share a couple poems from her novel that I thought were really important and really good for this video, for CIS. It was published by Harper & Row Publishers, and it has illustrations and poems that go along with them. All right, here we go. These children's poetry books, it really highlights a setting of a city that was filled with smoke and noise pollution, and most of her poems pertain to the city life and nature. Some of the poems are told from a first-person point of view, and others are from the third person, but they all have a mood that is somewhat mysterious, fun, and magical. Throughout her works, each poem has a different protagonist and antagonist and a different conflict. However, they all allude to geography and popular culture. I really wanted to talk about a couple of her poems and describe why I think that they are worthy of discussion for CIS. And the first poem I want to discuss is called Homemade Boat, and it's on page 11. So I don't have a physical copy of the book with me. I did get the Kindle edition, but obviously I'm using my computer to record this. So I did screenshot pictures of the poems because they do have drawings that I wanted to share. So Homemade Boat is this poem. This boat that we just built is just fine. And don't try to tell us it's not. The sides and the back are divine. It's the bottom, I guess we forgot. And here on this picture, there are some children, and their heads are very sad looking. This is not, okay. I don't know if you can see their faces here. And then we also have a flag here, and the boat is sinking, and there is no bottom of the boat, as she had stated in her poem. I think that this poem can be interpreted many ways. Personally, I interpreted the boat to be a metaphor, and it's just to be describing her life and how she is currently feeling about where she's going in life right now. I also think that she's basically telling people that she's fine, but she's really not, and the bottom of the boat is sinking. Obviously, there's some damages to that, and it just seems like she's just really struggling with something on a deeper level. But that's just how I felt. It can also be read by children, and they might just interpret it to be a regular book or a regular boat that's sinking in the ocean. So there's many ways to interpret her poems, however deep you want to go. So the next poem I wanted to read was called It's Dark in Here. I am writing these poems from inside a lion, and it's rather dark in here. So please excuse the handwriting, which may not be too clear. But this afternoon by the lion's cage, I'm afraid I got too near. And I'm writing these lines from inside a lion, and it's rather dark in here. So this image is actually of a lion, and it has a hand coming out, and she's writing on a pad of paper. The lion's sleeping. Personally, I just really felt like the lion is the antagonist and the narrator is protagonist. It's written in the first person. And I really do think that she's scared of something. I think she's nervous for something that's going on in her life. And I mean, I interpret things on a very deep level. I really kind of try to feel what the author's feeling, why they wrote the text, and kind of pinpoint down to what everything meant in the story to the author and why they wrote it. So I really think that the author is feeling kind of trapped, and they kind of feel trapped in a lion because a lion is a giant, ferocious animal, and they are kind of trapped in this dark cage when lions are supposed to be in cages. But here, the narrator feels like she is in a cage. And I think that she's just trying to escape and trying to find something that brings her freedom and light. The next one I wanted to read was called The Loser. And this one is on page 25. Mama said I'd lose my head if it wasn't fastened on. Because today I guess it wasn't, because while playing with my cousin it fell off and rolled away, and now it's gone. And I can't look for it because my eyes are in it. And I can't call to it because my mouth is on it. Couldn't hear me anyway because my ears are on it. Can't even think about it because my brain is in it. So I guess I'll sit down on this rock and rest for a minute. And on here is a picture of a headless person sitting on their head. I personally feel like this, whoever wrote this poem, which obviously is her, but whoever's reading the poem might just feel like they themselves are a loser. And they themselves are kind of sitting on their head, and they're kind of just not knowing where anything is. And I feel like they're just kind of trying to figure out everything going on around them, but they don't want to, and they just feel like very down on themselves. And I think that it's really important to read this and understand this, and just like kind of put yourself in the author's shoes and kind of just really think about what they're writing. You know, like whenever I read, I personally always try to put myself in the author's shoes so that I can like think about why they wrote it and see the objects they use, like the lion. Like, why did they use the lion? And it kind of makes you understand what the reader is, or what the author is really trying to say. And you can really connect to it as a reader if you are feeling the exact same way. I wanted to read a short story poem that she wrote because I feel like it was a different approach of poetry to her poems. And it's called Jimmy Jet and His TV Set. It's on page 29. I'll tell you the story of Jimmy Jet, and you know what I tell you is true. He loved to watch his TV set almost as much as you. He watched all day. He watched all night, till he grew pale and lean, from the early show to the late, late show, and all the shows in between. He watched till his eyes were frozen wide and his bottom grew into his chair, and his chin turned into a tuning dial, and antennae grew out of his hair. And his brains turned into TV cubes, and his face to a TV screen. And two knobs saying vert and horse grew where his ears had been. And he grew a plug that looked like a tail, so he plugged in little Jim. And now instead of him watching TV, we all sit around and watch him. And on here we can depict the there's them reading, and there's little Jim. I honestly found this poem to be the most entertaining to me. Not only because it was a more story than a poetry poem, I just felt like as a kid reading this, they can really kind of be like, oh, like, I like video games, I like the TV, maybe I am like little Jim. And I just kind of felt like it's something that would capture a child's reading approach because it's more like a story, but it is in the stanza format of a poem. It's also in a third person, so you can kind of just understand all the characters instead of just one. And there is all protagonists. There are no antagonists in this story. I just think that her writing this in a storytelling approach really shows that this novel is for children. And it just overall shows like who she is as an author, and that she's just trying new ways to write poetry and figure out things. So overall, I really did like her poem book. I think that each poem just had different things. Yes, they were all poetry, but they all just described different things that she was feeling, different things in nature, and different things that the reader can really connect to and relate to on a level. The last poem I just wanted to read was called Early Bird, and it's on page 29. Oh, if you're a bird, be an early bird, and catch the worm for your breakfast plate. If you're a bird, be an early bird, but if you're a worm, sleep late. We all know the phrase, early bird catches the worm. But she's telling you to be an early bird to catch the worm. But she's also telling the worm to sleep late. I just thought it was a cute poem. There's a picture of a worm and a bird on each side. And I just think that it sums up the comical approach that she uses for her writing, as well as the naturistic vibe, as well as the protagonist and third person part of her stories. So yeah, overall, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed some little pieces of her text. And yeah, definitely go check out her book, Shel Silverstein's book, Where the Sidewalk Ends. Have a great day.